Hi, I'm Rob and this is Gems of War. In this video I'm going to show the team I'm going to use for the bounty event using the Shadowbeast. Right, now first thing I'll do in these kind of things is always pop to the shop and make sure in this case you grab tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 1 because you want a potion of enchantment, which is really handy, means all your troops will start enchanted at the start of the battle for the entirety of this event. In tier 2 because you get a Shadowbeast guaranteed. What this does, it deals damage to an enemy, and if the enemy dies, inflicts a random status effect on all enemies, which is a pretty cool effect. The traits are gain 2 to 6 times bounty score, summon a dark storm at the start of the battle, and it cannot be targeted by spells. So that's really handy, and obviously if you grab other tiers you get extra stuff at the same time. But rewards, tend to grab them as I go along sometimes, depending upon what's going on, but to the fight itself, doing something a little bit different today. Going for War Elephant in first place. I really like the War Elephant in the bounty events. Gives a big amount of life, depending upon obviously your level. It'll be relative to your magic level. And 2 magic to all allies below me, and then create 8 skulls. It gains 3 to all skills if in first position, and reduces damage from skulls by 25%, which is handy if any of those skulls set up the opposition. What helps this is the Hound of Yao Guai. The third trait, summons a bone storm at the start of battle. It is really good for that War Elephant because there'll be more skulls there, which means I have more chance of making a match when we cast the War Elephant. The Sister of Nightmares is there at the start of the battles when things are relatively straightforward and deals 40 damage in my case to the last 2 enemies and inflicts a random status effect on them and poisons them too. But she starts with 75% mana, which is really handy. That with that potion of enchantment means she's going to be ready to be cast virtually straight away. What I will actually be doing is Shadowbeast there, he's there as well, just deals damage to the enemy as we said a moment ago. As things get tougher, I will be swapping Sister of Nightmares out for probably something else. If you want to find your bounty troops, just go down to the search bar, type in bounty. You're not going to get a chocolate bar that's got coconut filling. That would be lovely if that happened. Just one of them fired out with a PlayStation or whatever. Like, thank you very much. But yeah, type bounty in and you will find all your bounty troops. What I'll be doing later on when things get a little bit tougher is swapping out the Sister of Nightmares, probably for a parrot. Now, if you're a lower level player as well, parrot is a really handy troop in these events. Deals damage to an enemy and silences them with a 50% chance to silence adjacent enemies. Now that is not to be underestimated because silence means an enemy A can't cast a spell and B they can't collect mana. And if you're up against some tough opponents, especially as a lower level player, Parrot is a super handy way of stopping those enemies from causing damage via their spells. So that's what we'll be doing later on. In the banners side of this, I've gone for +2 green, +1 brown, -1 red. I know Hound of Yao Guai uses red, but we're not actually too worried about his spell. He's mainly there for that Bone Storm. On the class side of things, you may think there's no hero here, that means we don't get any benefit from having a hero class, but there actually is. For example, if we pick something like this one here, where we've got Fiend Fire, we've already got the 250 wins, we're not going to get any benefit from this because you get those class wins based on class wins, whether the hero is in the team or not. So if you select something, a class where you don't have that wins requirement yet to get that weapon, pick one, because basically the wins you get in this event will still go towards obtaining that weapon. So I will select that, and I've done that already. That means I will have that weapon by the end of this event. Right, so let's dive in. Sister of Nightmares. Really quick start, so the next round she'll be charged up. Our Bone Storm has been overridden already, but hey ho, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. We'll cast Elephant, see if we get any matches. Didn't, but doesn't really matter. We can finish them off anyway. And use our new troop to finish off the last opponent. One important thing in a bounty event is you must have different troops as well, otherwise you will not get the maximum multiplier possible. These early stages will be very, very quick and straightforward. Wow, nice amount of blue and purple there. Let's cast the Hound of Yao Guai. Don't really pay too much attention to what's going on at these early stages. It's kind of autopilot, just selecting stuff. But if you are a lower level player and you're more vulnerable to those attacks from the opposition, you do have to pay more attention to what I am. I'm just being a little bit willy-nilly, not really being too bothered if I get a Scarlet hit here or there or not, because it's not really going to affect me. But if you're a early level player, vulnerable to easy deaths, then you do have to pay more attention. I remember this being quite a really fun, I'm not saying it's not fun now, it is still fun now, but I think it was more fun as an early level player when you had to actually concentrate quite hard on these bits, make sure you got the most out of your troops. When the parrot was in the team, made sure you cast a parrot at the correct time, and then sort of hoped for those silences to come into play and that sort of thing, and then, you know, see how far you could go with this kind of event. Now it's more straightforward as a experienced player, but I don't know, in some way it was more fun, I think, as a early level player. Tigraki Warrior is another good troop for this as well, does true damage. And there's a second troop that does true damage as well, which you have them both in a team at the same time. It can be very handy on the later levels. Should we might as well collect some of that. Ooh, elephant, that was rather poor. Guarantee someone dies to get that status effect on everybody. The cool thing about Hound of Yao Guai in second place is if we do keep on casting those skulls and eventually lose the War Elephant, our Hound of Yao Guai will be on a decent level of attack. He's on over 100 at the moment. Take away their barrier. Not that many skulls there, so any slim chance of these having a chance of making a match. Let's get the initial damage in with her. Good amount of skulls there. We've got a good chance of her getting a match out of this, and we did. Got a couple, in fact. Yeah, worked fairly good. The cool thing about a War Elephant is as well, every time you cast it, it just boosts up all the team below you. I think he's underrated. I don't see many people picking War Elephant in these bounty events, but I think he's actually rather good. That give 2 magic to all allies below him is really good. He casts War Elephant a few times, and everyone has received a very significant boost. Make sure someone's going to die if you can, then you get the status effect on the other enemies. explode a few skulls. Let's got War Elephant ready. The enemies are entangled, so they're not going to cause me any skull damage anyway. Should have done it the other way actually, I would have got green at the same time then. Go Elephant. What have we got? Got blue at the same time. Decent amount of skulls there, so we can cast Elephant. Good chance for a match, but we set them up there, unfortunately, but it's not too bad. Wow, that was slightly unlucky. Like I say, Hound of Yao Guai, even though his spell seems a little bit rubbish, it's like just exploding skulls and gaining attack. There's a couple of reasons why that's good. First of all, sometimes if the enemy is buried, you don't want to waste an actual spell doing that. Where the explosion of skulls usually is going, well, it will actually usually take away that barrier if they're in the first position, which is really handy. And then you can cast a spell after that to make the most of the damage. And the other thing as well is if inevitably later on in the event you lose War Elephant, that's going to happen because his spell is going to miss from time to time and leave himself vulnerable to those skull hits. And he will die in some matches, but because you've cast Hound of Yao Guai a few times, you've boosted its attack to a really good amount, and any skull hits you get after that should be absolutely devastating to the opposition. Right, I'll just do a couple more because this is literally it, how the team will work. Let's say if you find Sister of Nightmares' damage to start being a little bit insignificant, then you can substitute her for something like Parrot. I find Parrot really handy on these kind of things. Love Silence. Let's guarantee we get some status effect on the others. Let's give Hound of Yao Guai a boost in attack again. Now we'll get our Elephant charged up. Not tons of skulls, but that's a chance to take. The less skulls there are on the board to start with, the less chance there are of War Elephant making a connection with them. But now it's very good. I'm not going to take that 4 match, I'm just going to leave that as it was. Ordinarily that is not a recommended tactic. I would normally recommend doing that 4 match skull first. Because when you create skulls with something like War Elephant, so new player tip here, it doesn't mean to say that 8 skulls will appear as well as the ones that are there. The 8 skulls that appear can overlap existing ones that were there in the first place. So if you are very unlucky and there were 8 skulls there in the first place, theoretically it's possible for nothing to change on the board at all if all the 8 skulls are generated just happened to go where them 8 skulls were there on the board originally. And I've actually seen that happen like very closely before. I've seen something like literally 1 or 2 skulls change on the board because it just happened to be that where the new ones appeared was exactly where the existing ones were already. It was like, wow, low odds on that, but it's going to happen from time to time. As ever, these events do slow up a little bit near the end. This is like a little bit of a grind on this one. It does depend upon how lucky you are with the war elephant connections and things like that. Right, well, actually I'll do this one and one more. Don't look stopping on 13. Not that I'm superstitious. It's bad luck to be superstitious. Oh. This is going to help us out a little bit, I think, and it did. Getting his attacks nice and high, because important towards the later stages when you may end up losing your war effalump. It's always a risk. There's, you know, a guaranteed skull hit there, but we've got a couple there and that worked out really well. The good thing about, like I said, I think I've said it already, but you can risk that skull, that cast with War Elephant, because you're boosting up all the players below, plus when you cast this guy here, you're getting his attack really high, so it's not too terrible if we lose the War Elephant eventually. Alright, come on. Wow, come on. Do your stampeding, or whatever it is you do as your damage. Alright, Bosh. Yes. Alright, can't leave on 13, I just can't. Do 14 and that will do, but it's been fairly straightforward so far. But like I said, if you're a newer player and you're finding it a bit of a struggle, substitute possibly Sister of Nightmares, I would say, for Parrot. A Parrot you will find really handy for shutting down the opposition, stopping them from casting, and it will make your game a lot easier. A lot of games will be won simply by the fact that you managed to shut down the opposition from being able to cast their spell. Right, this might kill them because of Fairy Fire. Ah, not quite. Yeah, and we've been changed from an elephant to a frog. How about that? That's a transformation, isn't it? Blimey. From one extreme to the other in the world of different creatures. But I would give the old hag a tongue lashing. Dear me, the mind boggles. What am I, Wayne Rooney? My American watchers of this may not be familiar with that joke, but I'm sure many of my British watchers are. Good old Wayne, you've got to love him, ain't you? No. Right. There it is, that'll do. I'll do the rest of this event later on, but it seems to be going along quite swimmingly, so there's a video. If you found it useful or helpful, it'd be cool if you obliterated that button, the like button, you know, the other one, the thing one, sub, and all that. Catch you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Just got distracted because the cat has gone a bit mental. Bye.